few days ago, I was just watching a random game when I stumbled upon a player I didn't even know existed. As many of you guys know, I'm a die-hard Mizzou fan, so the fact that I didn't really know who Alex Ross is kind of weird. Back to the story though, I typed in his name on Google, and all of a sudden, I found out that he was a pretty big deal back in the day, was an all-conference player at Oklahoma, and eventually didn't work out at Missouri. So I got to thinking maybe I should do a video on him, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about in today's video. We're going to go through his story, his time at Oklahoma, and what ultimately went wrong for the former big-time running back. But before we can get started with today's video, nearly 80% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel, and we can do better than that, so quickly be sure to hit that subscribe button, smash that like button for the algorithm, and turn on post notifications so you never miss when I upload. Now, let's get started and talk about what happened to Alex Ross. So in order to understand what happened to Alex Ross, we first need to go back in time. Ross was born and raised in the state of Oklahoma and became a big-time athlete when he eventually got to Jenks High School. Right from the start, his head coach Alan Trimble knew there was something different about him. At the start of the 2010 season, he felt like he had a really good starting running back and a young guy as a backup. Neither of those guys were Ross, but after some injuries, Alex's talent was on full display. He eventually would get his chance, and he went from an undersized defensive end to one of the state's top running back recruits. He carried the ball 122 times for 1,548 yards and 27 touchdowns. In fact, he averaged 12.7 yards per carry and had one touchdown every 4.5 carries. That's pretty nuts, and it was unexpected. Ross said, quote, "I expected to play full-time defense and get some offensive time, but it ended up me playing a lot more offense than I expected. I really enjoyed that." The backup running back was named Langer, and he continues the quote by saying, "Langer is a great friend of mine, so I didn't like to see him hurt, but I tried to make the best of it I could and help the team out." For obvious reasons, Ross became a big-time recruit because he put up those kind of numbers at a really good high school. Numerous schools came after him, but then he got an offer from his favorite. In February of that year, he got a scholarship from Oklahoma and said, quote, "I was real excited when I got that offer. That's the only school I ever wanted to go to." Ross had received interest from other Big 12 schools, but had not received any other official offers until Oklahoma, and that is why he committed there. He had this to say about the commitment. "I just felt like the time was right for me to commit. Oklahoma wins championships, and that's what I wanted to accomplish. They have a great school and great coaches." This may have never happened though. He always wonders what would have happened if he didn't play running back. He still played defense, and his coach had this to say, quote, "He has an amazing amount of stamina. If I had anything to say about it, he'll be out there on third downs rushing the quarterback as well. He adds a lot of value to our pass rush." As a senior in 2011, he would run into some trouble though, as he would suffer an ankle injury, and that would linger with him for years. An Oklahoma coach later said, quote, "He could never bounce back. We could never give him enough time to get well, and he was hurt and played about 80% throttle for all the games he did play." That would lead you to understand that he was a very tough kid, and it was extremely frustrating for him as he was a sprinter with world-class speed, and he could never utilize it. So as a track and football standout at Jenks High School, he rushed the ball for 676 yards and 11 touchdowns as a senior, and was a 2011 6A state champion in the 200-meter dash. He struggled with injury, but was still an all-state player, and even got an invite to the Army All-American game. He said, quote, "It feels really good. I didn't even expect to get it. It seems like a couple weeks ago I was watching the highlights of Adrian Peterson on YouTube, and I wondered if I would ever get to do that. Would he be as good as Adrian Peterson? We'll have to see." Apparently, he was the best player in his high school's history, though, as his coach said, quote, "No one in Jenks history has done what he did in terms of yards per carry and touchdowns per carry. And there have been some good ones here." Scouts thought the exact same thing, as according to 24/7 Sports, he was a 4-star recruit, the number 7 running back, and the 75th best player in the class of 2012. He was a legend in the Tulsa area, but how would he do as a small fish in a much bigger pond? Let's take a look. Coming into Norman, Oklahoma, he was compared to an OU legend. Cale Gundy said, quote, "One time I said he kind of reminded me of Mike Gaddis, how he slashes and how smooth he is as a runner. He takes strides, and before you know it, he's past you, and you can't catch him." That's a big comparison, but Ross would have some freshman growing pains. One day, he was being compared to a 1,000-yard All-Big 8 tailback. The next day, Gundy was up in his face mask with veins practically popping out of his head and yelling at him for quitting on a drill. It's tough for some freshmen, but ultimately, he would not play as a freshman as he would redshirt. He had some hype in 2013, but he honestly wasn't mature enough to play, so he would spend the majority of the 2013 season on special teams while only rushing for 19 yards on 3 carries. 2014 would hopefully be a little bit different, as in the season opener, he received his first carry late in the fourth quarter and had potential on an 8-yard run, but that wasn't all he showcased, as he finished the play by taking a swing at an opposing defender, which would give him an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty in the process, basically eliminating him from playing that year. Ross said, quote, "I paid my dues and waited my time. I felt like I needed time to get acclimated to everything around here. I feel like I have matured a little bit just in getting bigger and knowing what to do in my part." As a redshirt sophomore in 2014, he was supposed to break out, as there was actually numerous articles saying he was a better option for Oklahoma than Joe Mixon. Haha, okay. He was buried on the depth chart behind Mixon, Daniel Brooks, Samaje Perine, and Rodney Anderson, so after 4 years with the Sooners, he decided to become a graduate transfer. Coach Bob Stoops said, quote, "Alex has been a great teammate and a team guy for 4 years for us, and we've always been proud of him. This is an opportunity for him to go somewhere else and play full time. We wish him the best." When we take a quick look back, his best year was 2014, as he ran the ball 88 times for 595 yards and 4 touchdowns. 2015, his numbers went down to 172 yards and 1 touchdown, but he was most known for his ability on special teams. He had numerous kicks or punts that went to the house, and many times he got his team great field position and was named an all-conference player because of his return abilities. If somehow the coaching staff could get him to translate that to the backfield, he would have been a star, but he never could, and he was just buried on the depth chart, so as I said, he decided to become a graduate transfer. So where would he go? Well, he brought his 786 yards rushing and his 1,400 special team yards to Columbia, Missouri. He'd follow his former coach Josh Heupel to the SEC, as he became the offensive coordinator at Mizzou, and he said both the opportunity for immediate playing time and the bond with the former coach is what led him to be a Tiger. Let's just say he didn't have a great Mizzou career, and the Tigers' backfield wasn't exactly loaded that year. At the beginning of the video, I was talking about how I stumbled across him. Mizzou played against West Virginia in week 1, and he was the guy waiting back for that return. Maybe it isn't so crazy that I forgot him, because in 2016, he literally ran the ball for 71 yards without a touchdown and only averaged 3 yards per carry. He didn't have a great career, so what went wrong for him? Well, first, I think it was the injury, as that may have messed up some of his physical tools. Secondly, I think he was buried on the depth chart at Oklahoma. And thirdly, he might have just been overrated. He only really had 1 good year in high school, and was someone that was hyped up based on potential and not actual production. That Mizzou backfield was bad going into the year. They ended up having guys like Nate Strong, Ish Witter, and Demarie Crockett, but Ross had all the opportunity in the world to play, and he didn't take advantage of it. That did lead to the emergence of Crockett, who had over 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns, but that guy was literally a freshman, and there was no reason for Ross to play that bad. In total, he didn't have that great of an impact, but he at least was an all-conference returner and had some highlight-level plays for the Sooners. It's unfortunate as a Mizzou fan that he wasn't better, but I do appreciate the time he did spend here. What do you guys think though? If you're an Oklahoma fan, what do you think of him and what went wrong for him? And if you're a fan of any other school, let me know a player I could take a look at in my next video. Before you go, don't forget to leave your comments down below, smash that like button for the algorithm, and check out all my other videos on the end screen, including my video about what happened to Trajan Bridges. I hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.